Hello, welcome back to the Speak Your Truth podcast. I am your host, Jaya Rose. I'm a speaking, storytelling, and brand growth coach specifically for transformational leaders. You know who you are, the ones who create change in other people's lives. And I want to talk to you today in this Truthbomb episode. We're only going to spend 5 to 7 minutes chatting about this, so let's make it count. I'm going to get real right away and tell you I am real time going through what I'm about to share with you. The ebbs and flows of success. The ebbs and flows of putting yourself out there consistently, and the ebbs and flows of living outside your comfort zone. There is not enough that's talked about around this topic. There is way more that's talked about around expansion and growth and making lots of money. And guess what? There is always an ebb and flow. So here's the thing. You know already that the universe is mirroring our energy. If you don't know that, well, listen in. If you do, then here's your reminder. So often we start seeing resistance outside of ourselves before we really recognize that we ourselves are producing that energy. I'll give you an example. Today, I am having I'll just call it a no makeup day. I'm having a no makeup day and I'm fine with it. I have PMS. I'm tired. I really don't want to do anything, but I have been doing stuff, just kind of taking it in stride. I'm also setting up a bunch of new systems. I have a number of new things going on in my business, and everything was going wrong. Every single thing. Publishing the podcast on my website, getting my LastPass set up, everything. It's just like if there could be reaction of resistance, there was. And here's the thing, it matches my energy perfectly because I am resisting. And if we break down this in simplicity, the idea that energy really is pretty simple. We usually feel expanded or we feel contracted. And there's not a lot of nuance in between, especially for someone like me. Maybe you, if you're a highly sensitive empath. I always say there's either I'm completely amazing or I'm completely a wreck. And this really speaks to that. So I want to break this down for you in a physiological way. If you're a body person, if you work out, you'll really know what I mean by this. Anybody who's ever worked out, you'll know what I mean. When you start to work out and use a muscle. So I'm going to take your bicep for an example. If you want to build your bicep, what you need is resistance. You know what bands are that help you get strong? They're called resistance bands. So in exercise, the way that you build strength and the way that you grow is you add resistance to gravity. Gravity already is resisting, and then you add more, and it creates tension, contraction in the muscle. When this happens, it creates little micro tears in the muscle, and then the recovery phase is when they heal and they turn into more muscle. Now, taking that and applying it to spiritual, to emotional, to mindset, to business, to just growth in general, it's so easy to see, wow, this is happening all the time. So when you are stretching outside your comfort zone, you're doing something that feels scary, you're giving yourself a pep talk to get through it. What if you started looking at it like you were tearing those little muscle fibers? That is what happens. And there is natural resistance within that. So when you feel resistant, it is because you're growing. You know how people say that all the time? They're like, oh, you're going through a breakthrough. Like you're going to have a breakthrough after your breakdown. Well, physiologically, this is the natural course of life. We are meant to contract. We are not meant to always be in expansion. And this might happen on a daily basis, on a weekly basis, on a monthly basis. There's all different levels to this. But one thing I have found in working with the ebbs and flows of my own natural cycle and just my energy levels, it helps me consecutively move forward. Because what we fail to consider so often is that you are still moving forward when you're resting. You would never say, okay, for example, to continue with the bicep muscle. So you do a bunch of bicep curls, you got all the contraction and the muscle tears. The next day or the day after, it gets sore. That is when it needs to recover. It needs to rest. The expansion is in the rest. And what happens if you don't honor that and you just continue, like you're like, oh, I'm going to go even higher tomorrow. I'm going 15 pounds on your bicep curls. Guess what's going to happen? You're going to strain it. You're going to strain the muscle. Well, this is what happens. And that's why people get burnt out, because they're like, oh, I need to keep going. Right now I have momentum. I can't rest. Right now I have opportunity. I can't rest. Well, guess what? Your nervous system doesn't give a shit about any of that. Your nervous system is queen, and she's going to rule. And she will not allow you to continue forward if it doesn't actually work for you. Like, it doesn't work for your body. It doesn't work for your emotions. So I'm reminding myself this today. This is your truth bomb for today. You are still moving forward even when you feel contracted, even when you feel resistant, even and especially when you're resting. And what if we just started to consider the relationship with your ebb and flow of contraction and expansion, the pathway to soulful, meaningful, and sustainable success? What if? That is your truth bomb for today. Please let me know if this touched you, if you had an aha moment, if you are going to take a rest and feel into those, whatever phase you're in. Now, also one more side note here before I let you go. There's both phases. So sometimes you're I'm in the flow and I'm doing it and I feel strong and I'm doing 5 more bicep curls. Like, rock it. Do more when you're feeling like doing more. It's both. The core is not, oh, just slow down. The core message here is be in synchronicity with the ebb and flow and recognize which phase you're in and truly allow yourself to be in that phase. Take a screenshot of this, throw it up in your stories. And if you don't follow me already on Instagram, I'm the Jaya Rose. I'm Jaya Rose on Facebook. And I would love to see that you listened and that you got something out of this. If you share it with your friends and ask them to take a listen, y'all can be ebb and flow buddies. And I, as always, appreciate you taking just 3 minutes to leave me a review. It helps get the podcast out in front of more people. I really do appreciate that. And I will see you next time on the Speak Your Truth podcast.